So you might want to stand up to do that. You guys at home will see my feet for a little bit, but you should still be able to hear me. Just start. You can use a wall for some leverage if you want. You can start rolling in the arch, the heel. You can take your time. We're going to take about 5 minutes on each foot. So there is no rush here. The beauty of now having a 60-minute class allows for us to have a little extra time working out through some of these spaces in our body. And as you're here rolling out your feet, you might just observe thoughts, feelings, sensations that arise. We hold a surprising amount of tension here. So, and especially when you're rolling, this is really good if you have plantar fasciitis. This helps to break up some of that calcium buildup that occurs, that kind of adheres and glues the muscle fibers together. As you roll out your arch, you might take it around in circles. You can take it back and forth or side to side, whatever works for you. You might even pause, just finding one of those pressure points that feels a little tender. And keep in mind, less is more. You don't have to really press down and jam into it to have this be effective. If you happen to get migraines like I do, I've been dealing with one for a couple of days, starting with rolling out your feet and rolling up through your whole body and working through kind of all that connective tissue can actually help to relieve that. As you're rolling, don't forget the outside edge of your foot and the heel. You might also start coming into the ball of the foot. Yeah, it's chilly in here this morning, isn't it? All right, keep rolling your foot out. We'll take about another minute here. Might take time to stretch your toes, so bringing that ball right into where your toes meet the ball of your foot. Stretching through each toe. If you find the ball keeps running away from you, find the corner of a wall and the floor. This can actually give you a little bit more leverage. All right, taking time, let's switch sides here. Coming into the other side, 5 minutes goes kind of quick. You might start working into the ball of the foot, the arch. Continuing to breathe. You might notice that this side feels more or less tender, as always, as we move through our practice and through each side of our body. Doesn't matter how many times I do this, I'm always startled at the crunching that I always find anywhere when I'm rolling out. You might even take the time just pausing in places that are feeling tight or tender. As you're doing this, this is also a good time to practice allowing your shoulders to melt away from your ears. This can be pretty intense. When we find ourselves in intense situations, this is where we start to creep up and feel that tension coming in. It's all practice. Taking time exploring the heel of your foot. This can help open up your Achilles and your calf. That line of fascia actually connects down underneath in your heel. And it might not feel like much or really feel like anything, but that doesn't mean that it's not working. Even taking time in the ball of the foot, rolling there. Maybe you notice how it feels as you roll back and forth across the top of your foot. And then taking the time, stretching your toes. You might find where the wall meets the floor. Stretching into that big toe. Making your way down through each set of toes. You can focus on individual toes. Then taking one more minute, just finish rolling out, ironing out your foot. Imagining you're smoothing out the wrinkles here. All right, setting your balls to the side for just a moment. We're gonna come down into a perch. So you can set your feet up, hip width distance to begin. Just bring your fingers down, bend your knees, and then float up onto the balls of your feet. Hi, guys. And keep your fingers down here. You might really focus on your heels melting towards the earth. You might notice that it feels you feel a lot of stretch in the front of your feet. Breathing here, yeah, use blocks if you'd like to support yourself. And you can also, if you can stay right here, or if you wanted to, you can play with lifting your hips, dropping your heels down, sinking it back down, lifting your heels, come to that perch. And then lifting up here, drop your heels down. Then float it back down. You have option. You can hang out in that fold. You can continue with movement, or you can hang out in your perch. If you find that movement, just notice all the ways that your foot moves. This is a great way to iron out as well as to stretch. And if you do lift your hips and come into a bit of a fold, you can always play with lifting up onto the balls of your feet, exploring how that feels in your legs. We'll take about 1 more minute playing with whatever it is you're exploring right here. You roll out your feet. You might notice that your legs feel more open. There's also a little bit of a strength building component in here as we release some of these muscles. Tight muscles are generally weak muscles. All right, finishing up, coming back down here, pausing in your perch. Notice your heels. Maybe they feel like they're getting just a little closer to the mat. And then shift your way into a tabletop position. If you'd like, you can take a couple cat-cows here. Maybe moving side to side. Even if we're starting with the lower half of our body, everything's connected. All right, come back to that tabletop position here. Extend your right leg behind you, press the ball of the foot into the mat, press through your heel. Activating that whole leg. Continuing to practice, shoulders coming down away from your ears, nice long spine and neck here. You might gently shift back and forth as well. Beginning to travel up the leg, activating all of the muscles, the connective tissue. And slowly and gently come back through that tabletop position. Extend your left leg behind you. Pressing the ball of the foot into the mat, press through your heel, activating your whole leg. You can shift back and forth. You can hang out in stillness. Just explore it. This is your practice. What feels good for you today? And then bringing your knees back down, or that left knee back down. So you're going to bring your knees toward one another. Feet, heels are going to touch. Sink your hips back onto your heels. Keep your heels facing up. So if they want to fall out, readjust, bring them together, sink it back. Now you might be forward. Maybe you come all the way back. Maybe you come up to sit. Just notice the tops of your feet. And we're not doing toe crushers because those are definitely my least favorite, but if you wanted to curl your toes under and sink back onto your heels, you are going to find a more intense stretch. I personally find this one to work really well. just really gets into the tops of your feet. If you feel it in your knees, shift forward so you're focusing more on your ankles. Often we think our knee issues are our knees, but often it has to do with our hip and our ankle, which is those are the joints on either side. If we have weakness and imbalance there, we'll often feel it in our knees. So staying here for just a few more breaths. I know, guys, stay with me. This one's an intense one. And don't be a hero. If you want to put your hands down, you're still going to get the benefit from the stretch. So taking another breath in and a breath out. Then slowly shift forward, tap your feet. All right, tucking your toes. This time we are going to sink it back with our toes tucked. So you might just pause here. This is a really great stretch. It might be enough. If you want to come all the way up and sit, you can do that too. We will be here for 10, 9, 8. I feel it too. I want to move. That's when the pose starts. 5. Continue to breathe. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shift it forward. Tap your feet out. Trust me, I'm human. I feel pain too. All right, so you're gonna take your knees wide here. Toes are gonna come to touch and come back to sit on your heels. So if this is a lot on your knees, you can grab your block and sit on it here too. That is an option. What you're gonna do is we're gonna come into that funky camel, but bring your hands back, place them on the mat. We're not gonna focus as much on our upper body. What I want you to focus on is your legs and noticing how the front, like in the front of your pelvis, your hip flexors and into your quads is feeling. You will probably also feel this all the way down the front of your legs. So when you're ready, just begin to press your shins into the floor, lifting your hips up. You can roll those shoulders down and back, looking towards the sky. Breathing into the front of your legs. You might notice in the outside of your hips. And of course, you're probably going to feel this in your arms, your hands as well. Taking a breath, exhale, hips come down, walk your hands forward, find a child's pose. Taking just a couple of breaths here. And then take that funky camel one more time, walking your hands up, planting them behind you. Really pressing those shins into the floor. Maybe your hips are gonna lift. Breathe into the front of your body. And it doesn't have to be a big lift to be intense. Sometimes less is more. It's like a rubber band. If you pull it as tight as it can go, it has nowhere else to open. But if you give it a little bit of slack, you'll notice that it opens so much more. Taking a breath here. Exhale, hips come down. Walk your hands forward, child's pose. Breathing into the top of your shoulders. Maybe you're noticing some openness in your legs. All right, walking your hands up. You're gonna come to sit on your right hip. That right knee is gonna be bent in front. Left leg is bent behind. So the sole of your right foot is on your left thigh. Your torso is gonna turn over that right knee, and then you're gonna come down as far as is comfortable for you and melt it down here. If you want to use a block for some support, that's great. Just really notice that your torso is coming right over your knee, not out to the side or to the inside, but right over your knee. Coming into a sleeping swan, pausing here. Bringing in some of those yin elements to our practice. And connecting with your breath. You can even take this as a bit of a meditation in itself. And you might notice as you pause here, your legs relaxing. And as you pause here just a little longer, you might notice that you want to go deeper. Maybe removing a block if you had support. But even keeping that block or any support that you're using can actually still help you to open deeper. Staying here for about 5 more breaths. And taking a breath in, stay for the breath out. Slowly and gently walk yourself up. So leaving your legs as they are, just gently twist to the left. Not a big twist, just a little twist, helping to unwind that hip a little. Then slowly and gently come through center. You're going to extend your right leg. Your left foot comes inside your right thigh. Sit up nice and tall and exhale, fold. Really flexing that right foot here. Maybe you notice a little more openness in your leg. And as you're folding, really notice, are your shoulders back? Are you keeping a nice long spine? Hinge from the hips, coming down. Hands coming anywhere that lands easily for you. Breath in and breath out. Slowly and gently walking your hands back up. You'll notice you're already half set up to move into that sleeping swan on the other side. So just tuck that right foot. You want to make sure that the inside of your foot is on the mat. Left foot is inside that right thigh. Turning your torso so that your torso is right straight over your knee. You don't want to come down to the outside or the inside. You want to fold down right over your knee. When you're ready, Your way down. And as you come into your space on this side, you might feel resistance, and that's okay. Using your breath, helping it to melt. We've touched on it just a little bit before, but as we hold these postures, the first minute kind of, start to get into it and you might feel it's not so bad. And then the second minute, you might start to question and wonder what the heck you're doing and you want to get out of it. Once you start getting into the third minute, your body starts to relax and release. And as you practice, you might find that your body relaxes and releases just a little quicker than it used to. But some days it might take longer, and that's okay too. That is all part of the practice. Continue to come back to your breath. It is your greatest tool to help you dive deeper into so many things. Continuing to breathe here, taking about 5 more nice deep breaths. And taking a breath in, staying for the breath out. And slowly and gently walking your hands back up. Legs stay as they are and gently twist to the right. Not a big twist, just a little one, releasing that hip. And then coming back through center, extending your left leg. The sole of your right foot comes into that left thigh. Janu Shirshasana. Flexing your left foot, sit up nice and tall, and exhale, fold over that leg. Keeping shoulders back, hinging from the hips. Really flexing that left foot, so you guys can see. So really flexing that left foot as if it were standing on the wall in front of you. Taking a breath in and a breath out. And then slowly coming up, bringing the soles of your feet together here, finding a Baddha Konasana. Adjusting your pelvis, so your sits bones. So your sits bones are going to almost point back a little bit. Feet can be close in or farther out, depending on how you're feeling. Hands on your ankles, sit up nice and tall, take a breath. And then exhale, hinge and fold. Nice flat back here, heart reaching forward. You might even imagine that your chin is leading you, helping to keep that nice long spine. And take a breath. Maybe on the exhale, you melt it forward, rounding your spine down. Noticing a difference in sensation. It might be subtle. And then inhale, slowly rising it up, extending your legs forward here, flexing your feet, finding those sits bones, removing any flesh that may have moved. We all have a little. Inhale, fingers reach to the sky. Exhale, hinge and fold. Breathing here. You might even notice the stretch in the bottom of your feet. You might even have a gentle bend in your knees. This helps to release your hamstrings and your low back too. When we do our forward folds, often we think we're supposed to feel it in just our legs. It's actually an entire back body stretch. Taking a breath here, and a breath out. Inhale, slowly rise it up. And then gently make your way down onto your back. Rolling down one vertebrae at a time. Fingers and toes reach nice and long here. Full body stretch. Taking a breath and exhale, find Bananasana. Hands and feet move to the right, keeping your hips and shoulders nice and heavy on the mat. You might cross that left ankle on top of the right, and the right fingers might grab the left wrist. Breathing here. Continuing to travel our way up our body, but still observing how each half is still connected. And taking a breath in, stay for the breath out. Inhale, hands and feet come through center. Then exhale them over to the left. Adding on as you would like. The key thing here is keeping your hips and shoulders heavy on the mat, especially that right side. Breathing into this shape, observing any differences on this side. Knowing that they're not wrong, it's just different. And taking a breath in, Stay for the breath out. Inhale, hands and feet reach through center. Nice long line here. And then grabbing your block. You can bend your feet or bend your knees. Press your feet into the mat. Set your block underneath you, finding a supported bridge pose. And you have options. You can have it on this lowest level. You can move it to the medium level. Or you can bring it up to the Cirque du Soleil height and come up nice and high. It just depends on how you are feeling today. Wherever you are, you can allow your arms to just relax down, palms facing up at your sides to begin. Feet are planted. Breathing into the back body and the front body. Just use your breath here. Using your exhale to melt that low back deeper onto the block. Imagining tension just dripping away. You might even imagine that your spine, your low back, is lengthening like taffy. When taffy pulls, it's a nice slow movement. And when you take it nice and slow, it opens. It becomes really pliable. If you try to pull it really fast, it just tears. We kind of think of our fascia as taffy. The slow movements help to open. We can begin to use our breath to practice that patience. Using it to just melt us open a little more with each inhale and exhale. You might decide to stay right here. Maybe you just extend your right leg, noticing how that changes sensation for you. If you start to feel a sharp sensation in your low back, bend your knee again and just stay right here. If you've extended one of your legs, see if you can rotate that inner thigh in, not allowing your leg to fall out, but bring it in. You might notice more sensation on the front of your leg. You extended that right leg, bend the knee, plant the foot. Give yourself just a moment. And then extend your left leg. Same idea, don't let your leg roll out to the side. Rotate that inner thigh towards the center line. So your toes are either they're pointing forward, not out to the side. Breathing into that hip flexor here. Then bending that knee, planting that left foot. You might take your feet wide and allow your knees to fall into center. They might touch and they might not. It's all good. Just notice how this feels. You might stay here. Maybe you bring your ankles back underneath your knees and extend both legs long. you extend both legs long, or even if not, you might begin to bring your arms out to a cactus shape, or even extend your arms long overhead, deepening that full body stretch. If you find that you have gone too far, it's okay, back out of it. Taking just a couple more breaths right where you are. Slowly and gently come back through center, lift up, and then allow your spine to roll down one vertebrae at a time. Windshield wiper your feet, feet are wide. Maybe you're feeling a lot of warmth and sensation in your low back as the blood flow comes back in. And then from here, setting up for a supported heart opener. So you have a couple of different options. If you know that you super love taking the block and placing it underneath your shoulder blades, you can just allow yourself to come right here. If you know that that is pretty intense for you, you can roll out with the blocks and use some of that pressure point, or I'm sorry, with the balls, using some of that right in your mid back. So instead of the blocks, use the balls right about in here. And just melt back on those. It's a little bit smaller heart opener, but it does have the same idea. You just start to find some fascia release here. And when you find where you are comfortable, just allow yourself to be right here. Knowing you can always extend your legs long, your knees can be bent, or you can have those Baddha Konasana legs. Wherever you're finding yourself, breathing here. Allow your hands to come palms facing up. It helps to open up across your heart space. Collarbones will smile. Continue to use your breath. Maybe checking in with yourself. Being the observer of whatever you happen to find. Staying here for 5 more nice deep breaths. Taking full inhales and exhales. Take a breath in, stay for the breath out. Then slowly and gently, you can grab the balls or the block, removing them. Just come all the way down onto your back. Just observe maybe space that you've created. And then here you will want your balls. You're going to bring them right into your traps, that space where your neck meets your shoulders. Bringing them here. Just pause here. If you want to take some small movements, you can take small movements. Otherwise, just practice less is more, maybe just finding those pressure points. Often we feel a lot of tension here. And if you think about opposite points of our body, if we feel a lot of tension in our feet, there's a good chance we're feeling a lot of tension up here as well. Few more breaths. Remaining present. Okay, from here, you're just going to take those balls. If you have a block, set it up right where it would be underneath your head. If you don't have the balls, you can still just place your head, put the block right here like so, and then just allow for some pulling sensation to be right here so your head's kind of suspended. If you have the balls, you can just find the occiput or that base of your skull where your neck meets, placing the balls there. If they want to roll out, you might just use your pointer fingers to hold them there. If you want more, you can place the balls on the block and set up like so as well. Just depends on what works for you and what you are looking for today. When you arrive, allow yourself to be right here. Taking our last couple minutes of fascia release. This is also a really great exercise if you happen to suffer from migraines or tension headaches. taking about 10 more breaths. Nice deep inhales. Nice full exhales. And taking a deep breath in. Stay for the breath out. Slowly and gently remove the balls. Just allow your head to recline back. Arms come open to your sides. Just pause for a moment. Observing sensation. And when you're ready, gently press your way to a comfortable seat, however that transition looks like for you. You have your candle, you might get that set up for your meditation. And if you don't have a candle, that's okay. You can just sit quietly. Just come to a comfortable seat here. Taking a breath, exhale, just gently twist to the right. Not a really deep, crazy twist, just enough to help wring out the spine. Inhale through center and exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, come back through center. Maybe close your eyes for a moment. Allow your shoulders to melt down. And when you are ready, gently opening your eyes, finding that soft gaze at the candle. As you begin your practice of candle gazing today, you might go through that list of questions. What color is the flame? What shape is it? Is it still or is it moving? Thoughts might flow through your head. And just allow them as if they were clouds. Often when we find ourselves sitting in periods of stillness, we'll ask ourselves, what is the point? Sometimes the point is just to sit in stillness. Nothing more, nothing less. Just to be as we are right here. Inhale, arms float up, gathering all the energy, palms come to touch. Exhale, bring it down to heart center and Anjali Mudra. It's truly my honor to be here with you this morning, and I deeply thank you for your trust in allowing me to guide you through your practice. I'd like to seal in our time together with the sound of one Om. You can join in or just listen. Emptying your exhale and inhaling. Thumbs raised to your third eye center. The inner light that is within me sees and deeply honors that same inner light within each of you. Many blessings and much gratitude. Together we bow in peace and honor of ourselves, each other, and this practice. Namaste. Yogis, thank you so much for your presence at home. I'll see you guys again soon. Thank you.